This is Mitch, and I'd like to introduce y'all to Jose Hinojosa. And we teamed up together about 2 years ago, I'm guessing around February in 2018. And he jumped in with both feet and got on board with the one-on-one mentoring. So Jose and I have talked many a day. And anyways, I was just going to interview him a little bit and talk to him about his coaching experience. How you doing today, Jose?
Pretty good. Thank you for asking.
So you're kind of minimalizing time at the office because of the COVID at this time. So you're showing up at your office today.
We're just doing it by appointment, basically, because we don't need to be in the office. We can do everything from home, and if we need to meet somebody, we just like today. I have kids in my house, and I was not able to do the interview with you today, so I came to the office, and I'm by myself here. But we're trying to minimize the time here. But it started right here in Dallas. Everything started getting better. It's getting to a new normal now. But yeah, we hope hopefully by the beginning of the year we're gonna start coming back to the office.
Good. So tell me how you first found out about real estate. What was your connection with real estate?
Okay, so I have my business. I do have a business that has nothing to do with the real estate. I buy merchandise in Mexico, and I have that business for 10 years. My parents had that business for 20 years. So pretty much they teach me how to do it. We buy merchandise in Mexico. We bring it to United States. Most of them are candles, religious stuff. And then we wholesale it to these stores, right? Like supermarkets and stuff like that. And they taught me how to do that. And I had that business. I was doing it in my garage, and it got to a point that I was not, my garage was too small. I rent a place, and the guy that I was renting to, he's like, "Do you want to buy it? Do you want to buy it?" I'm like, "Yes, of course, I would like to buy it." By that, I didn't know I didn't know anything about real estate, and that was like 7 years ago, and he gave me the opportunity to buy it owner finance. Basically, he asked me for like $5,000 down payment, 6% interest for 15 years, and I jump on it. And then is the office that I'm here right now. It has a warehouse on the back, and pretty much I'm renting the warehouse on the back, and he's paying for the whole building. I'm actually cashing flow on that one. So that's when I start. I'm like, okay, I can do, if I do this, a couple of times a year without quitting my job, I'm going to be cash flowing good, without doing any maintenance or anything like that, because it's a building. It's a commercial building.
Yeah, and you lowered your overhead, right?
Exactly. And so, I started going to those meetings, with the real estate meetings. And, I went to a couple of them. Some of them, all of them, they seem nice. They tell you that everything is good. So I joined one of those meetings. I paid another coach 5 years ago. Pretty much he told me everything about real estate. Not everything, but, kind of like how to do marketing, how to buy houses subject to, how to, a little bit of everything, right? And
this is what city and state?
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas,
Texas. Yeah, and that was 5 years ago. As a matter of fact, it was in October 2005. And we joined the program. Since we have the other business, we kind of took it slow, and it took me 6 months to get my first deal. And I remember that deal. And I remember that deal that we bought it for back then was $16,000, and I sold it 3 days later for $25,000, and I didn't know what wholesaling was. So what I did is I purchased it. I didn't know how to put on the contract and then just wholesale it. Back then, I used money from my pocket to buy it, and then I sold it 3 days for $25,000. And I went to the meeting all excited, right? And like, hey, I did my first deal with this group that we have, and they told me, can you get me a buyer? Can you get me a buyer? And that's how I started doing the owner finance. I started selling other people's property because to me it was easy because I speak Spanish and uh, I'm a salesperson, right? I can sell anything, but
So
it
you
was easy
started,
for
you,
me.
other people started asking you, can
Mhm.
you help me sell my property?
Yes, I have this property. I bought a subject to. Can you get me a buyer? And I remember, I mean, it was, I was selling properties probably like three or four per month, like one a week for other investors.
And what was your average income from that?
I usually charge 3%.
Hmm.
So at the beginning, I was charging like, just give me $1,000 or just give me $500, right? It was like, hey man, I love to learn. I don't mind driving. I don't mind, spending my Saturday and I don't have my real estate license. I don't mind spending my time in, I usually do. I was back then. I kind of like I was doing an open house. I never thought that I was a realtor, right? But it worked. I put on Facebook, hey, I'm gonna be here from 3 to 5 or 12 to 1 or 2 o'clock. And a lot of people start coming to these, it was not an open house because the houses, needed a lot of work. And I was
Not a,
selling them under
not a,
financer.
not a traditional open house, but you were
Right, right.
meeting up, calling for people so you didn't have to spend one person one time. You were
Exactly.
trying to
Yeah.
get them all
So,
through in 2 hours. Yeah.
mhm. So pretty much I was very happy. I was, learning the process and I started noticing that, you can make good money with the owner finance. And a lot of people start telling on other people that I was able to sell houses quick. I was getting a lot of qualified buyers. Back then, it was when we started doing the RMLO. I think it was
Yes.
5 years. So when I started, it was a little bit easier because we didn't need an RMLO.
Yeah.
We would just get in, hey, put on the contract, and we just go to a title company in a week, and then we close. I collect my money, and I was averaging between $1,000 to $3,000 per house, and I mean I feel very good. It paid off for the program real fast, and then I started acquiring my own properties. But after probably like 20 that I sold from other people because
Yeah.
I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't want to jump just like, hey, let me do this, and lose my money.
So you
And
started working for knowledge, kind of getting paid to learn, and you were watching all this stuff come through. True entrepreneur, man. You're a guy who sits there watching everything going on. Go, well, why can't I do that? And then something else opens your eyes. Well, why can't I do that? Something else opens
mhm.
your eyes. Well, I can do that. So you're selling these houses. When did you what made you decide to buy your first house?
The opportunity. So since I was with this group, right, a lot of people were like telling me, "Hey, do you want to partner up?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" Well, I can buy this house and then you can sell it. I'm like, and I don't want to give you the $3,000 up front because I'm upside down. And back then, we were doing the subject twos, and
Yeah.
I know how that work. The
Yeah.
subject twos work. I don't like them anymore, but back then it was a great tool for me to learn because there's so many pieces on with the subject two that you can learn
Yeah.
that you don't want to make the mistakes. And so people were start asking me, "Hey, you want to partner up? You want to partner up?" And I mean, I was counting yesterday to tell you this meeting. I partner up with more than 25 people in these 5 years. And I'm talking about like I partnered with one guy for probably like 40 houses. And I partnered with other people that I never seen them before. I mean, after that one partnership, we never seen each other. So, but I partnered with a lot of people and it took me a lot of knowledge I mean, they were bringing the money or they were bringing the deal. My expertise was just selling the houses. So, that's what I focus on. And when I decide to do my first house owner finance, it was when I saw it from a wholesaler that he was selling a house on the same block that I sold for like $90,000, and he was selling it for $40,000. I'm like, okay, let me buy it. And I start asking for money, and it was hard. It was hard for me to find hard lending money. I didn't know there was hard lending money out there, so I started asking for private lending. I got the money, I bought it, and I didn't know what to do with it, and I sold the note, which is, it was not a mistake. I don't call it a mistake because I learned that not to sell the notes anymore, right? But it took me a while.
So you bought a house, then you sold it owner finance with a down payment, and then you went ahead and sold the note.
That's correct. To pay my private lender, because I'm like, okay, now what? I need to pay my private lender.
You had a short-term loan, right?
Yeah, I had it for a year. And I'm like,
that's not a long time. So you couldn't just keep collecting the payments because you had that issue of, I got to pay this guy back. How do you remember the numbers? How much did you buy it for?
I think I bought it for, I think it was like 50,000. And then I sold it for, I didn't even change the locks on it. And I sold it because I already had a buyer before I even put it on the contract, which is, now I know that I don't need to, I don't want to, you don't want to do that. But I had a buyer before I even had it on the contract, and I was going to sell it to him for $90,000. And then he brought me $9,000. Back then we did the RMLO because the no buyer wanted me to get the RMLO, and then we closed on it. And the same day that we closed, I sold it to the no buyer for 87%. So I could do the calculation real quick. And back then, it was good because we needed money.
I get it. I mean, when you start out, when everybody starts out, putting that cash in the bank and giving yourself some confidence and some cushion is a good thing to do.
Yeah. It was $90,000 times 87% minus 50,000. I make, like, with the closing costs and paying my lender and everything, I probably net like 20,000, something like that. It was great because I'm like, okay, now I can do this right by myself. And okay, let me start going with another wholesalers. Let me go start looking for other properties because he got me the confidence that okay, now I don't need partners. Which is, until this day, I have partners.
But you saw the light. You saw, like, it's always the power of the first deal that you do that you make 20 grand on or something, make a good hit on. It's like, oh wow, I really can do this. It really works. I have the money in my bank account. And then the second revelation of every entrepreneur is, how do I do that again, and how do I do it better?
Right. I'm like, okay, well, I make $20,000. How can I make it $20,000 but collect that $200 or $300 a month? And that's when I saw you on Propelio, and I started reading your books. And I bought the first one. I don't remember which one was it, but I bought the first one. I was at the middle of it, and I bought the other two online. Not online, but the hard book.
You probably bought the Failing Forward to Financial Freedom, the autobiography where I progressed from not knowing how to do anything to buying at one point 150 houses a year. So you got halfway through. This is another traditional entrepreneurial flag. You got halfway through and you said, all right, and then you go buy the other two books, right? So
I bought them right in there. And like I said, I don't read books. I just listen to them because it makes me fall asleep. But I finished yours like in 3 days because it was like, it got me to because I was already doing this, right? The owner finance, but I didn't know how to do it for the long term, right? I was just doing it and then sell the note. And to me it was like, all right, man, I made $20,000. It was good. So when I saw you on Propelio, I'm like, okay, well, I need to know how to keep these notes. And I remember that I was reading your books, and I remember one of your books you said that you have a stock of business cards of business that you open and you close. That's me. I mean, since I was in high school, I I was a pizza driver. I used to work in cable, installing cable. I used to be a carrier. I used to be a waiter. The list is on and on. I mean, I started doing a lot of stuff, and it got me connected with you. Like, okay, this guy did it. Why? I think I can do that too. And I was already doing it on the real estate, right? I was already half through. I just have to know how to keep the notes and do it the right way. Because
Yeah, you don't want to get.
back then I was doing a subject twos, and that subject twos you got no control of it. I don't know if you want to explain to the people what subject two is, but you don't have control of the loans that you
Yeah, there's
get.
always that due on sale clause looming in the background. There's always the guy who you saved his butt on one day, but 2 years later he's screaming at you to pay off the loan, or he's going to sue you or call a lawyer or something.
Or the realtor call you, hey, I know what you did. My buyer wants to buy another house, even though he was broke,
Yeah.
6 months ago. You need to pay off the loan. I'm like, so you got no control of it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So then you took a big step. Well, you hired a coach before. How was your coaching experience then? I mean, and I'm not. Did you? It sounds to me like you got your money's worth out of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But is one of those deals that it took me a while to understand, and I'm glad I did. Right. I'm glad I joined that group, pay that coach, because I understand a lot of it. The only mistake that I make, and that I'm going to tell everybody that is listening, is that I was focusing on selling the houses for other people, which is good, right? But I never learned how to market. Until this day, I'm still having problem marketing for buying the houses.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an expert on selling the houses, but now it's hard for me to transit from selling the houses to go and buy the houses from other people, and so I will suggest to a lot of people who's listening that it's like you need to focus on marketing, because that's selling. You can hire somebody like me and just pay them $1,000 or $3,000, but getting the properties is when you make the money. So
that's where the rubber meets the road, right? Nothing happens till there's a property in play. So, may I ask, what'd you pay this coach, the first coach you had?
I paid $12,500, and I put him on my credit card, because I had the money, but I didn't want to use it, so I used a credit card. Well, actually, I used two credit cards, and I paid them off in like less than a year, because it took me 6 months to get my first property. So, it was not, and it was frustrated at the beginning, because it's like, me and my wife, we doing this business, right? And she was telling me, like, do we make a mistake, paying these guys, and we don't see any results? I'm like, no, they just wait. And one day, and I'm going to tell you a story. I used to drink a lot of Monsters, the energy drinks.
Yes.
I used to drink one a day. And then on Saturdays, I used to drink two. It was kind of like that. And I told myself one day, it was a Tuesday, I say, I don't know if you want to call it God, if I stop, or if I just promise myself, if I stop drinking Monsters, I need to find a property to buy it, because I'm not going to fail in this business, because I like it, real estate. My sister used to be a real estate agent, and I love it. I love helping her out, finding properties and stuff like that. And I knew the business was good, but I told God, myself, like, if I quit drinking Monsters, I need to buy my first property. So I quit on Tuesday. I bought the property on Thursday, and that was my first property. So I don't know, it was chemistry. I don't know what was it, and
Divine
until
intervention, but whatever.
yes, whatever worked. It was 6 months after I joined that group, and like it got me motivated when I sold the property. Like I bought it on Thursday, and then I sold it. I mean, I put it on the contract on Thursday, and then before it was like the same day I already have a buyer. So I didn't know you can just wholesale it, put on the contract and stuff like that until I learned that after that. But, I bought it and then sold it. I went running to this group with the coach that I have, and I start telling everybody, hey, I did this. I made $16,000. And, and then, from there, it's all like, I start selling for other investors. But until this day, I have a Monster in my office. The white ones that I used to drink is there. I haven't touched it. I mean, it's probably spoiled already because it's just, it's not.
Did you deem those were bad for you?
The what?
Did you decide that those were bad for you?
Oh yeah, my grandma died because of that. Well, she got heart problems and everything, but she used to drink Red Bulls a lot, and she got a stroke. And every time that I had a Monster in my hand, and my mom sees me like, hey, your grandma died because of that. And I said, I know they're bad, but I was hooked. Yeah, I don't know. It was.
You can be addicted to anything. You can be addicted to food. You can be addicted to Coca-Cola. You can be addicted to anything that you're habitually doing every day that you not helping you. That's not.
Yeah. So yeah, that happened, and until this day, I haven't touched a Monster.
Where did Mitch Stephen come in the picture? You read the books and everything. One day, what happens?
Okay, so I read the books. I'm like, man, I'm just like this guy. We have a lot of similarities, right? And I love the way that you say that you have to think as an immigrant all the time. Well, guess what? I'm an immigrant. I came to the United States when I was 16. I'm from Monterrey, so it's not like I was poor or anything like that. But most of my family was already here. So anyways. So I'm like, he thinks that he says that you need to think as an immigrant. I'm an immigrant, so I'm already thinking like that. So I think I can do this. And like I said, I was already halfway when I read the books. So I call you and start, start the mentorship with you because, I knew that I was going to make it. I knew that I was going to do it well, but I don't know, it was going to take me a couple of years, but with your help, I think it took me less than a year, to figure everything out.
And what was the comfort for you? I mean, obviously I had, a lot of years of experience, and I know that was one of the things that you calculate, or anyone would calculate. Mm-hmm. But when you actually started, when you and I started talking, what are some of the comforts that you get from that?
Well, I knew, like I said, I knew how to buy them right. I knew how to sell them right. I just need somebody to tell me, come on, you can do it. And you need to do it this way. And, nobody had told me that before.
Like paperwork wise and rules and regulations and like staying out of trouble, right? Is that the part that gives you peace of mind so you could say, okay, this is how I think I'm doing, or this is how I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm. And I was doing okay, but I knew that I was gonna do better. And you taught me how to do it, and yeah, that was my comfort when with all this happened.
So I enjoyed talking and working with you because you don't have to tell. I don't have to tell you something twice. Like I don't have to tell you twice. I tell you, you're off on it, which is one of the elements that I'm really looking for. As a coach, I don't want to take someone's money if I don't think that I can get them where they're going. I'd rather not have the money. I don't want to have the grief. I don't want to have the failure in my column, and I would look at it like that. You're a heavy duty doer, and you also understand concepts pretty fast, like you're real fast. Some of them are even foreign to you, but it didn't take you long. You catch the concept. So when you're doing these deals now, You don't call me nearly as often, but you do call because when you bump into things, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't have to. I don't have to call you for every house because I know how to do it. I know how to buy the houses, how to sell them, but kind of like insurance wise, or I would say when I'm dealing with the bank, the interest rates, talking to lenders, and I just want to make sure that I'm doing it right. Because yeah, I
One
mean,
of the one of the goals you had was to find more private money and better private money, and then to go to
mhm,
community banks. And we
mhm,
started working on that. Talk to us about
yes.
that.
Yeah. So when you told me that, I start going to, uh, I, I start getting more private lending, and I know how to structure it for them. Back then, it was like, oh, I'll give you 10%, 6 months, that's it. Um, so when you taught me is that, okay, you need to talk to the private lenders. Okay, you need to do it in a different way, right? Like lower interest rate, long term,
Yeah, if you're going
stuff
to
like
hold the
that.
notes, if you're going to hold the
Mhm.
notes, you have to have the right kind of money underneath
Mhm.
because these
Yeah.
deals aren't over in 6 months. They're not over
Right.
in 5 years.
Mhm.
So,
No,
um,
and especially now that yeah, you have to season something. I mean, you have to season it for at least 6 months if you want to sell it to an old buyer for even 87%. Because if you don't season the notes, they give you like 70%, 75%, which is not good. But so yeah, that's I start talking. I think it got me the confidence of to going to these people by my. You know, not using a broker, just going straight to the people and say, hey, look, this is what I've been doing for the past X years. This is how I'm going to invest in your houses. And, questions that they have for me, I didn't have to, well, I need to get back to you. I didn't have to tell them, I need to get back to you because I already have the confidence to tell them, no, but this is how it's going to do it. I mean, this is how we're going to do it. And this is how you're going to make, how much you're going to make. This is how much I'm going to make. And, this is how secure your money is going to be, stuff like that. So that got me the confidence to go
well,
out
yeah,
there and look. And yeah, and like you say, go and, if you need to go to a bank, you're not going to go just to the first bank, which is what was my mistake. I went to Bank of America and asked them for money, and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. And, I went to West Fargo, and then I went to Chase, and then, like, okay, you don't go to those banks, right? You go to the banks that understand those banks they think outside the box. And, I went to probably like 12 of them. And finally the 10 or 11 or 12, I don't remember how many of them, but they opened me the door.
yeah,
And
but those are community banks. I said,
yeah.
don't go to these big banks. They're not going to understand. You need to talk to the small banks where the
Yeah.
owners of those banks or the people that run those banks have a
Mhm.
large say so in what goes on, and they actually can understand what you're talking about or want to
Mhm.
understand. They want to sit down and listen to you and understand your business. And then, there are people that are well versed in what we do. They've done it before. We don't have to explain a lot to them. They might want to ask you some questions to make sure that you're doing it exactly right or how you're doing it, but they know what you're talking about already. And that's what happened
Mhm.
is you walked into the 12th bank or whatever it was, and they knew exactly what you were doing, and they looked at the way that you were set up. And because you'd been doing it right with the RMLOs and your numbers were in line and everything was in line, they say yes to you, right? So,
Mhm. Yes.
but
But
but if you'd
yeah,
have walked in there the way you were
yeah,
before,
before 2018, yes.
yeah, you won't make it.
Yeah, and yeah, and that's one of the reasons that I joined your program because um, I need that fast, knowledge to, okay, I need to go to a bank because back then, I didn't want to just buy the houses, sell the note, buy the houses, sell the note. I know it was, but it was more than that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
cash flow is king now, right? You got your
it
eye on
is.
that cash flow. You know
I love it.
you could get $20,000 or you could get $10,000, but the $20,000 you don't get anymore. The $10,000 you get a $500 income for 30 years or whatever. You're like, I can do that math.
Uh,
I want the 10,000 in the payments. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, no, no, yeah, and you know, I was kind of those people in high school or in school that, you know, yeah, I was having trouble with all my classes, but math was, you know, I didn't, you know, I was good with that. I was getting hundreds, 95s, hundreds
Oh
on
yeah.
well,
So
yeah.
just
So
for the record,
I understand math real good. I don't have to, sometimes I don't need a calculator. It's that,
I don't need one
so
either. Sometimes when a deal's good enough, I just don't.
right.
I don't know exactly what percentage it is, but it's good enough. Let's do the deal.
Right, and yeah, and thanks to the people that I help, and they helped me at the beginning when I was selling these houses. I know what exactly the houses can sell for owner finance in this type of neighborhood. Because I mean, I was counting the other day because one of the bankers asked me, one of my lenders asked me if I can give them like a resume of what I did in the past 5 years, and I started counting all the houses that I helped sell, I was involved in, and he passed 100, and that was last year. It was more than 100, and either for other investors or just people that have nothing to do with investments, but I was there helping. So thanks to that, I can tell in my head, it's like, okay, this house from a wholesaler, okay, or from people that want to sell the house, if they want $50,000, I know exactly how much I can sell it for without fixing it or fixing it. So like I don't need to do the math in my calculator. I'm like, okay, there you go, that's a deal. But
Yeah, that's the benefit of experience. Like you don't have to work every number all the time because you know these neighborhoods now. You know your business. You know your buyers. You know your sellers. You know the culture of your town
mhm,
and the culture of those neighborhoods. I want to tell you that you
mhm.
have been uh, an extreme pleasure to coach,
Thank you.
and you're a winner. You won. I especially like it that you got where you're going. Did you? Just to be bold and right out there, was the amount of money you paid me to get coaching, was it worth it?
Uh, I think in the first two deals, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
You
and
had,
I got my money back, and I mean, I knew that from the beginning,
yeah.
because I didn't even ask my wife. It was like, hey, can I hire this coach? I just went for it. I use a credit card too, and I had the money. I just like to use credit cards so I can get money.
I can tell you why you do it. I'm going to tell you why you do it. Tell me if I'm right. You like to keep score and you're going to hold it over there to the side till you see the business pay the credit card back because that's how you get your peace of mind.
That's exactly what I do. That's exactly how I do it. And also so that way I can make I can
Yeah, but you have your money to make money with, but
yeah, but I also can use credit cards to increase my line of credit and stuff
oh
like
yeah.
that. So yeah, but yeah, so that's what I did, and I mean I knew from the beginning. I'm like, because I was I read the books and my wife didn't, and I knew that if I would just do whatever you said to do, and
You know,
I was gonna make it.
I had the same issue when I was buying houses on my credit cards. I didn't tell my wife, and this really upset my wife. And I've talked to a lot of people about that particular situation, and a lot of people said, well, you needed to. Why didn't you talk to your wife? And I'm saying kind of the same thing that you're saying is like, there was no way that she could say yes with the amount of knowledge that she had because she didn't know what I knew. So I could go ask her out of courtesy, but then I'm just going to scare her. We're going to get in a debate about it. And then I would have to spend all this time to bring her up to speed to where I'm at. But the problem is it's taken me 5 years to get where I'm at mentally, to know, to feel in my heart, to understand, to own the concepts in my heart of hearts. Like I know what I can do. I cannot teach that to someone so I can
In
make a
20
decision.
minutes.
Yeah, so I can make a decision tomorrow
Right.
on what to do. And so I just had to jump out there, commit the crime, if you that's what you want. I committed the crime, and then there's like no taking it back. There's no talking me out of it, and then let me just make it right, show you that I know what I'm doing. And it's kind of a gamble. Is that for me? It wasn't a lot of pressure for me because I knew what I could do. I had $250,000 worth of credit card debt, but I knew that I had $500,000 worth of houses free and clear. There was no lien on them because the debt was all on my credit cards. I had $500,000 worth of free and clear houses.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain that to someone at first. All they see is credit card is bad. Credit card debt is bad. Credit card debt is bad.
It is bad when you're not using it right. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, that's how pretty much I do stuff.
So today your wife's fully on board, I know, because I talk to her sometimes. But
oh yeah, no, she's whatever business I'm gonna start, she because I'm not just doing this, I'm doing other stuff too. But she's like, you know what, I know you can do this, and if not, oh well, you try. But
are you starting to systematize things, or do you have an assistant now? Are you moving that direction,
No,
or you like where you're at?
So I was gonna start this year to systemize everything's start hiring more people and kind of like hire more people, do it like you told me the other day that. I need to hire these people to buy the houses. I need to hire somebody to sell them. But the coronavirus hit, and I'm like,
but that's only if that's what you want. I mean, systematizing or going big is not for everybody. Some people are happy. I do 10 deals a year and make my money, and over a 10-year period, I'd be in another place. Other people want to ramp it up. And there's different levels you can take it to. I mean, you could just get a personal assistant and take a lot of work off you that you don't need to do, like small stuff, right?
Well, right now it's only me, it's my wife, my sister-in-law, and me that we work. And kind of like my sister-in-law is the one that he does a lot for us, like QuickBooks, and pretty much he gets buyers on Facebook because I still sell other people's properties. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's, $3,000 is not bad. And I'm not a realtor, but, I still sell I still sell properties for other people. So my sister-in-law is the one that helps me kind of like, filter those buyers, and I go and close the deal. My wife is, kind of charge of the, paying the lenders, asking for money to the lenders, make sure that people are paying, of course.
Collections, paying the bills.
Make sure that everybody's paying, and make sure that, those kind of things.
What's your normal year look like? I mean, I know COVID was weird, but about how many transactions are you doing a year?
Man, it's hard to tell because you don't count. No, I don't count. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't count at this point. I'm like, we need to do 3. It's not like that because it's hard. Like I was telling you at the beginning, it's hard for me because I never do marketing to buy houses, right? To get them. So I depend a lot on wholesalers, right? And wholesalers call me all the time. Hey, I know you buy properties. I got this property in this neighborhood for $100,000. I'm like, okay, that's too much. No, but the ARV is X amount of money. I'm like, well, yeah, that's too much for me to pay because I'm going to do owner finance on it. And I can only do owner finance on that neighborhood for $130. No, wait. But, and this is wholesaler for like 1 year, 2 years, even experienced wholesalers. They're like, no, but the ARV is 160. I'm like, I understand the ARV. I understand what you're saying, but, I know that I can only sell it for this much. And it's hard for me to get it from wholesalers nowadays in Dallas. It's very hot. The market is very hot. So people are buying as crazy. But there's how people are. I mean, I just have to find them harder. I have to find the properties. So when you tell me, okay, how many you did this month, I can tell you in September we put on the contract 6 to sell. and then we buy three more. So and then
Well, you're gonna so
I,
you're gonna be over 40, 50 houses, anyways. I mean, right? It seems like over somewhere between 30 and 60 houses, and it doesn't matter.
yeah,
It's not a volume
it's
game.
not a competition. It's because if you start, I mean, this is how I see it, right? If you start like, okay, we need to do three houses a month, minimum, right? I need to go start buying those properties at $100,000 that I know that I'm only going to sell it for 130, and it's not going to make sense. I'm like, why am I going to,
I get
why
what you.
why am I going to do that just because in my head I have a number that is, that is three per month, and which is
People ask
about.
me. People ask me how many you're going to buy this month. I said I'll buy as many as makes sense. If
It
that's
makes sense.
if it
Yes,
makes sense.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
just because I have all the money and I have all the private lenders doesn't mean I start going out and buying houses at bad deals. I still can only buy as many deals as I can find a great deal on.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is, you're not a one house a month guy.
Oh no.
You're a bigger guy, and with a very small team, uh, some experience behind you, which means you have a legacy and a reputation that's helping you now.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to find that many houses in the first year because less people know who you are and what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go in the sixth year, more people know who you are, what you do, and there's repeat people. They know, I got another house. This one's exactly for Jose, so they go out there. So,
Yeah.
man, I want to thank you for taking the time to come on. Any
Mm-hmm.
last words of encouragement you'd like to say? Maybe if there's someone out there thinking about starting or thinking about getting a coach, what would you
Yeah.
say to them?
First thing to say is that don't quit your job. I didn't have back then. Before I started into real estate, I have my own business, right? So it was not 9 to 5. It was like 7 to 9. 7 in the morning to 9 o'clock sometimes, and then all weekend, and then go to Mexico for a week, and then be back. So, but I used to rent back then. So I was making my payments. I have money in my pocket. And I started this business on real estate, right? And I'm not telling that I see that I make it already, because I don't think you never make it on real estate, because there's always something better,
More.
right? There's always more. Um, but the one thing that I'm going to tell people is that don't quit your job to become a full-time investor, because it's not going to work. Look at me, I'm still doing it. I still have my other business. Now I don't run it, but I make the decision, the big decision, but I have people that run the other business, and I don't make that much money anymore in there, but it's okay. I still have a cushion to, if something goes wrong, like COVID, right? If something goes wrong, I still have the other business, and that's.
Yeah, so I think most of the people, me included, started doing it in the background
Mhm.
until it proved itself.
Right.
And then you have your own business. You see no reason to shut it down because it's a business and it's established and it runs. You just got to keep it greased and oiled and going down the track, right? So it
Mhm.
doesn't make any sense to close it down. But what I hear you saying is um, in the beginning, keep your day job and then work in the off hours to
Mhm.
prove that the business works for you and to get your confidence and your education level up, because there is a lot to learn, isn't there? There's more than you think, right?
Man, right now I'm kind of like going into commercial right now. Not
Well,
commercial, but not but like so I told you about the taquerias that I have, right?
yeah,
Well, that I partner with another a friend of mine, and it's crazy because now we're gonna buy this building that is, because we've been renting. Now we're gonna buy it. It's like, and it makes sense. I'm like, hey, dude, we need to buy this, and I can, and it's getting to a point that we're gonna start probably in the next couple of years. We're gonna start looking into land, buy them with my experience, of course, buy them and then build a restaurant or the taqueria, whatever you want to call it, and then probably like a Metro PCS or something, so I can lease it to somebody else. That's what I'm going, because I remember you told me, I mean, you have to invest on something.
You have to have a forever play, right? This is
For
your
that's
forever.
gonna be that's gonna be my forever. Because the taquerias, I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be forever, but I mean, it's good, right? But I know leasing those commercial, which is I think that's gonna be my forever money.
Very
So
unique.
yeah,
Very unique.
that's
So you want to specialize in restaurant locations that you can lease to a restaurateur, and that's your deal. And you may decide to move into yourself and expand to Taqueria whenever they move out because they got a big location, right? You can take over whenever that population gets or gets so popular. You can take over.
right. I mean, it is, like I say, you never stop learning. And, you always need to start. I mean, you never stop looking for that next lender or that next, because nowadays I have lenders that it's like, hey, can I have a $500,000 because I have this deal? Yeah, sure. Because of my reputation. So,
And what built that reputation?
just I don't know, just I
Paying
guess.
people back on time,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Well, I was gonna say something else, but yeah, paying people back. Yeah, that's one of the main reasons. But yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think I'm doing it right, and I got the right coach at the right time, and I'm not afraid to get another one if I'm gonna start going on commercial like that. But
Yeah.
at this point, I don't think I need it. Um,
Well, you don't
but
know what you don't
well,
know. So find
well,
someone who
you're
has
right.
100 taquerias and he'll teach you something. I promise you.
Well, I don't know. No, well, yeah, but I don't run those taquerias, right? I'm just
Yeah.
a silent partner on those. But yeah, I mean, it is. And also, I was gonna tell the people that listen that want to be in the business, real estate business, is that it's not a competition. You need to love the steps. If you don't like it, just get out. If you don't like it the first, couple of months or 3 months, 5 months, if you don't like it, just get out, because if it's gonna be hard. It's always gonna be hard. But if you don't enjoy the success, like let's say, I put 20 Biden signs every week for 6 months, and I didn't hate it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And I celebrate that step when I sold the house for, that I bought it for 16,000. I sold it for 25 and less than a week. I celebrate it. You have to celebrate that step, every step. When I make $16,000 or I collect $16,000, I still celebrate. You have to celebrate every little step, and you have to love, especially when you're with your partner like me, with your significant other. You have to understand when to stop and when to go hard. It's right now I'm kind of like chill for a little bit because I don't need to go and buy 100 houses, because just Mitch I mean, he did $100,000 when he was 30 something years old. By the way, I'm 38. And it was one of those weird situations because you started at the same time, right? When you were 30 something,
Yeah.
35.
Yeah. 36, about 36.
Yeah, it got me connected too, because I started when I was 35. Anyways, I mean when I was 34, something like that. But yeah, you just have to love the process and celebrate every single little
So,
win.
so make sure it's a passion for you, because if it's not, it's probably not for you. And then when it is for you, make sure you have balance. I hear you saying you need to have
Hmm.
balance between
Hmm.
family and work, and then celebrate your victories. Because
Celebrate every little one, and count your mistakes too.
yeah,
Uh, I can tell you in all the houses that I have, I never, never, never lose money.
well, that's
I mean,
wonderful.
I sometimes I break even on one, like on one of them, because it was was with those issues that it's hard to explain, but you know I didn't lose money on it. I lose my time, but not money.
Yeah. So real estate's pretty forgiving, isn't it? If you play within a certain amount of rules, it's hard to get really smashed on these deals. I mean, I think I've lost on 6 deals in 24 years to a grand total of maybe 60,000 if you added them all up. Luckily, they didn't all happen on the same week. They happened over a 24-year period.
Yeah.
Like a little, and those decisions were more like, all right, I'm going to make this amount of money this month, but I got this one loser in here. If I can just sacrifice and get out from under it, I'm going to lose a little bit. I'm only going to make this much money, but it's
Right.
still a great month. It's still a great month, and I got my problem off my plate. It's down the road. It's gone forever. I took a little hit on it, but it was still a great month, and it's still going to be a great year. And one of my advices to everybody is don't let your problems build up. You handle them. And also, though, don't be fast to just dump and lose a lot. When you know you have a loser, think about it for 30, 45 days, unless there's some opportunity that you have to make a decision. But think about it and then decide what you're going to do, and then like start to do it. Let it settle a little bit. 'Cause sometimes what you think is really bad isn't as bad as you think at first. It'll lighten up a little bit if you just let it catch your breath a little bit. It's like getting the wind knocked out of you. It's like, damn, and then you catch your breath and go, okay, I know how to fix this. All right, my friend, I appreciate you very much. I'd like to thank everybody for stopping by 1000houses.com podcast. Really appreciate that you took time to get you some Jose Hinojosa. And please check out taxfreefuture.com. You won't believe what your financial advisors are not telling you. All right, my friends, we're out of here.